In lesson 1, we learned about a bunch of things. First, we learned about algebra, which is a branch of mathematics that uses symbols to represent unknown numbers or quantities. Second, variables, a letter that represents an unknown number. Third, coefficients, a number that multiplies the variable. Fourth, a term, a number or a variable of the product of numbers and variables. Fifth, constant terms, no value in an expression, a term that has no variables. Last, polynomials, an expression made up of terms joined by addition or subtraction. Next, we learn about these things. First, monomial has one term in an expression. So for example, it would be 6x squared. Second, a binomial, it has two terms in an expression. So for example, 3a squared minus 5. Third, trinomials has three terms in an expression. Negative w squared minus 5w plus 1. And last, polynomials, it has more than three. So for example, 2s squared minus t squared plus st plus 7t minus 4. Next, a degree of the term, which is a sum of exponents of all variables in a term. For example, 2x, there'd be 1. Next, degree of a polynomial, which is the same degree as its highest degree term. So, for example, negative 5x squared y minus 7, the highest would be 2.
In lesson 2, we learned lots of things. In this example, we have 4x squared minus 5y plus 8. The number of terms is the amount of numbers or variables, and this one has 3 because the first term is 4x squared, the second is negative 5y, and the third is 8. The number of variables is the amount of letters, and this one only has 2, and those letters are x and y. The degree is the highest number in a term. So this one has an exponent of 2, this one has 1, and this one has 0. So the one with 2 is the highest, so that would be the degree. The name depends on the number of terms in an expression, and it's a trinomial. The coefficient is the first number, and it is usually before a variable, so it would be 4, and the constant term is a number without a variable, so it's 8. The next example, we learned what like terms are. So in this one, we have a, 4b, negative 3ab, 7a, and 1.5a. The like terms would be a, 7a, and 1.5a, and that would be it. The next example is with combining terms. So this one, we have 3m minus negative m squared minus 6 plus 3m. First, we would take 3m, and it does not match with anything since this is negative, and it has no variable, and this one is squared. So we would just write 3m. Next, we have negative m squared plus 3m squared. So then this would become negative 1, and it would be positive 2m squared. And then the last number is negative 6, so it would just be minus 6.
In lesson 3, we learned about opposites. So let's take, for example, this negative 2x squared plus 5x minus 1. So the opposite would be 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. It's pretty easy. So to subtract a polynomial, you must add the opposite term. Yeah, so we learned about subtraction. And then next, we learned about positive and negative tiles. So this one here is positive 1 tile. This one here, positive x tile. This one is a positive x squared tile, as it says right there. then these are just the negatives. So when you see that it's filled in, that means it's positive. When there's nothing in it, it's negative.
In lesson 4, we learned lots of word problems. Our first example is, if n is a number, the product of a number and 6 is increased by 2. So if a variable is an unknown number, then we would do 6n and then increase, so it's addition plus 2. The next is how to draw a word problem. So this one, a rectangle's length is 7 centimeters greater than its width. So we know this is its width and its length is width plus 7 centimeters. So we would do w plus 7. The expression would be 4w plus 7 because there's two sides for the width and the length is width plus 7 on both sides. The next example is, in the first semester, Kira decides to play drums for music class. To rent a drum kit, it costs $55 per month plus a $30 deposit. Write an expression to show the total cost for any number of months. So I'm using m for the number of months, and we would do any number of months. So then it would be 55, and then your variable would be m, since we don't know how many months it would be, and we'd do add a $30 deposit on top of it.
So this is lesson 5. We learned how to multiply and divide monomials. To multiply them, you have to multiply the coefficients, then use the product rule to multiply the variable. So let's take a for example. So it's 4 times 2, so it's 8, and then x times y is xy. And there we have our answer. Super easy. Alright, then to divide them. First, you divide the coefficients, and then use the quotient rule to divide the variables, so subtract the exponents with the same base. So let's take a again. So 4 divided by 2 equals 2, and then x divided by x is just x. And then 2 minus 1 is 1, so we just don't put anything. Answer is 2x. Go.
In lesson 6, we learned how to do distribution. So I have 2 examples, and in the first one, we have 2x times x plus 3. So that would be 2x, and then we move to x, and it'd be 2x squared, since we have 2 variables. And then it has an addition sign, so then we do 2 times 3, and it's 6x, because there's an x with the 2. In the next example, we have negative 3 times 3x minus 6. We do negative 3 times 3x, which is negative 9x. And a negative is a positive, so we do 3 times 6, which is 18. And here we learned how to do models to expressions. So we have 4x, 3x, and 5. First, to get this box, we do 4x plus 3x, which is 12x squared. Here we have 20x, because 4x times 5 is 20x. The expression would be 12x squared plus 20x. In the second model, we know that this is 2x, this is negative 2x, and that is 3. 1x times negative x is negative x squared. So these 4 tiles are negative x squared. Here we have x times 3. So then it would be 3x. And we have 2 columns here, so it would be 6x. And the final answer would be negative 4x squared plus 6x. In lesson 7, we learned how to divide polynomials. So here we have 4x squared minus 6x over 2x. So then we would get the same denominators and put both of the terms over top of them. So we'd have 4x squared over 2x minus 6x over 2x. Then for 4x squared over 2x, we'd divide 4 and 2, which would equal 2, and then we'd take away both of the x's, and the exponent would become an x. so it'd be 2x. Then for the next one, both of the x's get crossed out, and we do 6 divided by 2, which is 3, and the answer is 2x minus 3.
This is the second part of lesson 7. So you can also use algebra tiles to divide polynomials by binomials. So positive x divided by positive x squared would equal positive x. Alright, same here. It equals the same thing. Let's put that in. Okay, then positive x divided by negative x would equal -1. So these are all -1, sorry, those awful squares. And so the answer would be 2x minus 3.